Hey there! We've been working on this series for over 6 months, and we grew bigger and bigger and bigger. And as all good stories go, they always come to an end. This one is no exception. I think it's finally time to go ahead and add nice finishing touches to our project and release it out on crates.io. So, without anything further to do, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is separate our project out from just a command line to a library and a command line, because if you were to recall, I said this.
The reason we're making public functions, because maybe later we might want to create this into a library of sorts, including the command line interface. So just having them public, those are public interfaces pretty much. It's just cool. Why not?
To do that, we will create a new directory, and it will be a scanflow directory. And now we will create 2 projects. One will be a cargo new scanflow-cli, and the other one is going to be, well, our old scanflow library. So we will just copy, that is scanflow, and we also need the runner scripts. Runner, scanflow set perms, and scanflow.cargo to be in .cargo. And we will remove them from the scanflow subdirectory. It will be runner and set perms. They are gone. So, once we have that, we should have this structure where we have scanflow, scanflow-cli, and the runner scripts. Now we need to create a so-called cargo workspace file, which will be, well, I will just copy from scanflow new cargo TLML, and let me show you what it is. It's essentially, well, a workspace which defines the members and the default members, and we actually don't need this bench profile. But yeah, this is what we need. This is exactly what we have. And yeah, that's about it. And we just need to move scanflow.gitignore over to here. And we initialize a Git repository. And we remove scanflow target. That's about it. Here we go. We have a basic structure set up, so it will be cargo build workspace. It should in theory work. Well, it doesn't, because there's no more rayon-tlsctx, which, if I will just go to here, well, let me just go to scanflow, cargo TLML. I released rayon-tlsctx on crates. So it is now 0.1, and note that it's a dash instead of underscore. And if we now build, you will have a few, what is it? Oh, okay, that is another confusion, that never gets old. So, now this builds, but we will have an error, which is because I changed the crate up a little bit before releasing, so I will just go ahead and fix it immediately. So scanflow source, and what we need to do is just go to, for instance, value scanner, and wherever we create a context for the memory, we need to use new locked, and right here, new locked. And the same thing in disasm, it is a new locked. We're doing this because we need to lock when cloning this, but we don't need to do it in here or here, so we increase performance by doing that. And finally in pointer map, we have the final thing. As they say, only pay for what you need. And once we build it, boom, that is done. I mean, it's still building, but here we go. We built it. Now it's time to go ahead and move this main into the CLI crate. So what we're going to do, we're gonna quit this. We're going to just move scanflow source main, and we're going to move it to scanflow-cli source main. And we need to do another thing, and that is define a library for our scanflows. It will be scanflow source lib.rs, and it will be failed to parse metadata. Yeah, because it doesn't know us. Okay, now it should work. Here we go. So if we just go to scanflow-cli source main, what we need is to move all these module definitions to our library. And that will be that. Here we go. And these will be taken from scanflow. Boom. So now we need to sort out dependencies. For instance, unresolved import for scanflow. And lots of these are unresolved. That is because scanflow-cli cargo is empty. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this cargo and take what we need. So we need memflow, both of them, because we initialize it inside the CLI. We also need the logging, but we don't need logging in the library. So here's that. And we all need those except from scan format, which is also only in the CLI. And that is it. Another thing we should do is probably remove the default progress bar feature, because you don't want progress bar to show up in the library, do you? So we have memflow, we have this. This is what we need. And now we essentially have more things that, well, it spazes out, because we need also scanflow, which is path equals go up and go to scanflow. Let's see, fetching metadata, it's doing that. Is that all? No, 3 errors. Here we go. That's it. All fine. Can I go build workspace? Yeah, now we have some issues from in the progress bar, which is my bad, really. It's my bad because I essentially, like, let's separate out the creation of this. So this one is purely when progress bar feature is enabled, and this is when it's not. So we need a new function which will do one thing, and it will return a self that is empty. Right, yeah, that's it. And these are also only needed whenever the feature is enabled. Right. Yeah, no more warnings except these inactive thingies. But yeah, that's it. Yep, everything builds. Oops. Another thing that you can see is that over the time, this function got deprecated. So we will just change it to connector inventory scan. And it's no longer a failing function. Here we go. And that's it. everything built. Now we have this covered. Let's go ahead and make the CLI not just one single main file, which is very long and it's cool and all, but like it's not very readable. So we will go ahead and create a scanflow CLI source, CLI.rs, which will essentially have everything, pretty much everything. Well, it will have everything from here, like everything from here will be in the pubfn run returns a result of type this, and this is what we have. And we will just do CLI run and we will pass through the process. So it will be mod CLI, and it needs, specifically, it will import use memflow prelude, which is another new thing that helps with using memflow, just a prelude, which works better. So you have the prelude, you import the memflow error, and we also going to import the Win32 stuff. So what we need is mute process of type Win32 process implements virtual memory. That's about it. Yep. Now what we need is we need to move these over here. We also are going to move all these functions below over to the CLI. So it's roughly the same, except it's not really the same. Okay, we also need to bind clone. Boom, wonderful. So we don't need the kernel here, we don't need this here, that's all. Now we just redo everything. Boom, done. Okay, this was a little bit of refactor, but now what we're left with is this main function, which initializes logging, does the connect inventory, does the connector, does the kernel, process info, process modules. Look at that. These are not really used anymore in the project, and this is what we're left with. This is our main. Oh, this is done. Doesn't need to be mutable. This is it. This is our main. And we don't need this even. Okay. Here we go. Finally. This is our main. This is all it does, and then it jumps into CLI, which accepts a process, and then it does stuff for one single process. And I think this is much more cleaner